Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about installing plaster cornice, and if you're installing a plaster cornice with a pattern on it, how to line up your mitres perfectly every time with that, using that sort of mirror finish method. So your mitres, if you held up a mirror right on the mitre, it just would look exactly the same. So just showing you here this renovation job. He's added on this wardrobe here, so we're just going to finish off installing cornice around the cupboard, but we want to line up this wave, this pattern here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a point on the cornice that's already there, and I'm going to take that sort of furthest down point of the wave, and I'm going to measure back to the wall. And I think I measured there about 60 millimeters. And we're going to take that measurement and go back to our new piece that we're installing. And remember, we cut our plaster cornice upside down, so you want to just allow enough room. I think the mitres are about 105, so we want to make sure we've got enough room to cut the mitre. So I'm going to take the down point on the wave and mark it there, and remember the measurement we had back to the wall was 60 mil, I think it was, and we're just going to mark that 60 millimeters. And that's going to be the start of our mitre. Then we're going to measure the mitre, which is 105, back from that mark, and we'll square that off and we'll cut the mitre, and that will give us a perfect match-up of that wave pattern for the mirror image effect. So I came back from the end of the cornice just a couple of waves, just to allow enough room to measure back that 60 mil to cut the mitre. Now this can be done with any pattern. You just got to use a reference point on that pattern. If you have a bells and bows, say, you can use a bow, a point of a bow, or any there's an egg pattern, you can choose the egg and dart, you can choose the tip of the dart and just measure back. Anything like that you can measure back to the wall, and that's how you get your mitres to line up perfectly. So with this renovation job, I always, with plaster cornice, always try each piece up first, tack it up and get them all up ready. This house I think was built 40 or 50 years ago, so everything's up and down and all over the show. So we've also got to remember that this old existing cornice is 40 plus years old, so, and then the new cornice I'm putting up was only made this year, so the difference in the molds can be quite substantial with the top edges and bottom edges, so we've got to check everything. So I've cut this one longer, as you can see, so we're just going to get the mitre right first. So just going to tack it up there, and we're just going to check this mitre, and we can see already that the top edge is a bit thicker, and I need to take a little bit off the top there just to close that mitre up. So take that back down, and we'll just shave a bit off the top before we mark our final mark for the external mitre cut, and I'll show you how to get that lining up perfectly as well. So just using my rasp or surf form, I'm just going to shave a bit off the top of the mitre there. That existing mitre was cut with a multi-tool just to get that cupboard space in, so we're sort of matching up to what's there, so it's always going to be a bit of playing around. This job was a full renovation, bit of skimming, bit of new stuff, bit of plaster cornice, a couple of round corners, so there's a bit of everything involved in this one. we're just going to hold that up again and tack that up. Now this, I've always done this mirror image effect for the mitres. I have seen guys sort of carrying on the pattern, so that's another way you can do it. But we can see here that mitre's nice and good now, so we can take our mark for our external. We can already see there's a big bow up in the ceiling. That top of that cornice isn't even hitting the ceiling there, so something to account for. So we'll go away and we'll cut that external mitre, and then I'll show you how to line up the external mitre pattern perfectly, which is the sort of same process, just doing it on an external. So again, yeah, so this method wouldn't be able to be used if you were carrying on the pattern to carry on around the room. I've always done the mirror image effect, and most of the jobs I see around the place are the same. I think it just looks better. So again, we're tacking this piece up again. What I like to do is, once I've got them all right, I'll tack them all up. I'll cut the next one and tack that up, and then the same with the last one, and get them all tacked up. Make sure all the mitres are sitting right before I mix up some gear. So we can see the pattern on that mitre has that mirror image, so both those waves are meeting perfectly there. So that's measuring back to a reference point is how you do that. I'd love to know if that's the way you do it, or you just sort of line it up by eye and cut the mitre where you think it's going to go. Did you know this method? Let me know in the comments. And if you're enjoying these videos, hit subscribe, hit the like button. It really helps the channel out, helps me to make more videos like these. So we're just trying to get that top end up. So what we'll do here, we'll do the same sort of method. I'll take the down point of that wave, put a mark in the center, and then I'll measure to the external, which is 30 millimeters. So we can go back to our piece we're going to cut. Now again, we've got to remember we need enough room to cut that mitre at 105. So we need to, we're just going to come back a couple of waves there. I'm just checking that I've got enough. If I go from there, no I don't. So we'll just put a marker in the center of that wave on the furthest down. Mark our 30 millimeters. And that's the mark we're going to go from. So we'll mark our mitre 105. Now you just got to be sure you're cutting on the right mark. That's why I put that little sort of angled line there. And you also got to make sure you've measured the right way. So from where you've put where I put my mark on that down point of the wave, I want to make sure I've measured the right way for my 30 mils, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm just double checking. I'm not quite sure. Have I got it the right way? I'm a bit confused, but no, that's right. Yep. So I'm cutting through sort of the up point in the way there. You can see the saw going through there, and that's how I sort of use my reference. So we've got that mitre cut. I'll come back now. I'll measure the piece. 857 millimeters, and we'll measure that from that external mitre. 105 millimeters. Now, of course, you can use a mitre box if that's the way you do it. I've always cut it by freehand on my cornice bench. And I just always like to clean up the edges with the surf form, clean off those sharp edges, and we'll just hold this one up now. And yep, we can see that pattern there is meeting perfectly for that mirror finish. And we've got a bit of playing around with the mitre there. The pattern's lining up, which is what we want, but we just need to get that bit of cornice up there, and that's hitting at the top. So what I'm going to do, I'll probably just shave just a little bit off the top of that bit of cornice. Just mark it with the pencil there, just so that can go up, because it's hitting there when I push it up. So I'll just take a little bit off both of those tops there next time I take them down. But we'll just take that piece up there. But that's just showing you that I've showed you there both the internal and external. It's pretty much the same. You've just got to make sure you are measuring that pattern the right way. Now, just while we're here, I just want to talk about the last piece I'm putting in here, because you can always follow the pattern around, but once you get back to where you started, it's going to be a good chance it's not going to meet up perfectly. So with this piece, this was already up, you know, you can follow the mitres around, get them perfect everywhere. You come back to the last piece, as I said, it's not good. So you want to make sure you put that one in the right place. So I always look at where the door is opening. You can see there the light switch is on the left side. So I like to put that blind mitre. See the light, so that means the door's going to open that way. So I like to put the blind mitre on the right side, which is behind that open door, which is not sort of where you look up normally. So I'm going to go from this side with my blind mitre here. Sometimes it'll line up perfectly, but if it doesn't, we always manage to carve it out a bit and fill it with plaster so it sort of looks good. Again, we'll take our reference point there, the bottom of the wave, and we'll measure back. I think that was 105. Yeah, I've marked on the 103. I've marked on the wall there, and that's it there. That's basically, I'm just showing you how to get those patterns lined up perfectly. With that little extra tip at the end about where to put that blind mitre. So, hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.